and welcome to another episode of My Two Cent. My name is Paul Emerson, and I will be giving you my 2 cents. I apologize that my head is cut off. It bothers me when it is, but as you can clearly see, I have to go to PT, and I want to address an issue. So, because it's trending, flat earthers, right? So, I don't believe in flat earth. I'll probably make a lot of videos on my 2 cents explaining flat earth using infinite indefinites because it's a great way. Okay, that's going to drive me crazy. I'm not going to be able to deal with that. So I have to compromise. Either my head's going to be cut off or the board's going to be cut off. So you can't see this part of the board. So I can't get both. I don't have time to adjust the camera for both of them. Gravity. Flat earthers believe in the biblical description of flat earthers believe the earth is the foundation of the idea that the earth is flat is based on the Christians' biblical description of the earth as it was formed by God. So they believe that the way the Bible describes the formation and creation of the earth, based on the Judeo-Christian account of the biblical description, then the earth is flat. The earth is flat because the Bible's interpretation of the earth is flat. The reason why I keep speaking in that manner is because the Bible doesn't say what the shape of the earth is. The Bible doesn't specify that the earth is flat. The Bible doesn't say the earth is flat. The Bible doesn't technically say that God created the earth to be flat. The Bible has a very open-ended description of the biblical creation event. For example, the Old Testament is the actual true book of the Bible. The Old Testament is the actual description of the Bible. It states that in the beginning, there was the Word. There was the Word, and the Word, this is just off the top of my head, and the Word was God. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. Wait, the Word is God, was God. Yeah, because it's a time thing. The Word is God, was God, and was with God. That's the basic. This is wrong because it's off the top of my head, and I stopped being Christian a long time ago. This is wrong. But the basic premise of it was time. The Word is God, the Word was God, past, present, past, future, was with God. So these are the basic functions. Was with God is the past, the Word was God is the present, and the Word is God is the future. So the Old Testament account was basically based on that. So in the beginning there was the Word. This is the foundation of idealism, as I covered in other videos. So the idea is that the Word being the ideological view of the world, the idea that only thoughts exist, and from thoughts, manifestation of materialism comes into being, right? So this is what the Bible says about the universe. It doesn't say nothing about the earth being flat. The interpretation of that comes from stuff like the 4 corners of the earth was round. The earth was encircled, things of that nature. Compounded by the fact that we can argue that CGI images of, so basically flat earthers' biggest thing is that we're being lied to. And they're right. Our parents lie to us. When we're children, our parents don't teach us correctly because our young minds are not developed enough to actually understand the truth. For example, if you tell a young child of 4 or 5 that babies come from sexual reproduction, and that the girls have a vagina and boys have a penis, and that by putting those two together you make a baby, then the first thing they're going to do is want to engage in the experiment, right? A 4-year-old child, a 4-year-old girl and a 4-year-old boy are going to want to make a baby, so they're going to have sex. So we don't tell them that because we don't want them to try to produce a child. For one, their young bodies are not developed enough to produce a child. So now we have told them a truth that they're going to believe is a lie, because they're going to try to have sex before they're mature enough to do so, and then they're not going to be able to produce a child. So our description of where babies come from, to them, relative to them, will be a lie, when it is in fact the truth, right? So instead of telling them the truth, letting them learn that it's a lie, and then realizing, oh, it wasn't really a lie, it just, we weren't old enough. Instead of having to go through that, we just start off with a misdirection because of the nature of the child, right? So we're communicating education relative to individuals, and this is the problem. Because when you teach a child a certain principle and they become an adult, if there's no adult principle to replace the adolescent principle, then the adult continues to operate from an adolescent mentality, right? That's the problem that flat earthers are having, because we are lied to when we grow up. And so when we're constantly lied to, when we're constantly limited by our peers, we don't trust them. So now they don't want to trust the information because they've been taught to trust God. So now they're in a position where the ideas of man conflict with the nature that they have within them, and because the ideas within them is in conflict, they turn to God. So they look at the Bible and they say, this is what's true, this is what I'm told, this is obviously not, there's no way for me to prove this, but I've been told that this is absolute. So the Bible is absolute, but everything else is not absolute. That's what I've been taught since I was a child. So you can give them an image of the earth and tell them that this was taken by a photograph millions, 100,000 miles away from the earth, and they'll say, well, it's not real because the NASA's website says that it's a composite image. If you think about it, the day that we stopped using Polaroids, we've always used composite imagery. The moment that we start using digital photography, every picture that's ever been taken is a composite. This video of me recording myself is technically not even real because it's digital, right? The information is interpreted by some programmer that wrote the code. They wrote out how the idealism will be interpreted by the actual materialism of the camera. You know, you don't want to get into a philosophical debate about whether cameras are intelligent or cognitive things, but obviously the logic inside of the camera has to interpret the materialism that it's recording, right? So we can argue all day if the camera is intelligent, but the camera doesn't have any idealism in it, right? But it's recording materialism, and it's reinterpreting that materialism and streaming it over the internet in a form of an idealized medium, because the computers aren't intelligent, so they don't think like humans, but they can convey information even better than a human mind can, because they can record me word for word without error, right? Unless you believe in the Mandela effect. That's another video for a different discussion. So me ranting always gets me distracted. So we're going to go back to the whole point of the video, understanding the nature of gravity and why flat earthers don't understand the nature of gravity. A long time ago I figured gravity out. Newton's laws, and I'm not going to quote them because I'll probably get them wrong. I'll give you the basic synopsis of them, work as follows. Gravity operates as if its mass is at a common center as defined by a sphere. So if you have a mass shaped something like this, you find the common center of it and describe the force of gravity as if it is a circle, right? That's how Newtonian math equations operate. So from this, we get the most basic question. Okay. Flat earthers will tell you gravity doesn't exist. This is the very first experiment that all human beings actually engage in as children. They take an object, they drop it on the ground, the mother comes over and picks it back up, puts it on their little, wherever they are, and they take that same object and they drop it on the ground again. And they will continue this until they come to some point of realization that things fall. For some reason, objects will fall. If I put this object on a structure, it won't fall. But if I put this object in the air, it will fall. Flat earthers will argue that this is not sufficient evidence for gravity, right? But the question is, if it falls from the air, and it will stick via electromagnetism to another object, and it can rest on the surface of another object in relation to a physical body. What is that? Why in some cases do things descend while other things remain standing? So the walls can stand, but nothing can be supported without a foundation of the earth underneath it, right? So why is that? We call that mass attraction. All mass falls to the earth for whatever reason. No mass is ever seen ascending up into the sky unless it's lighter than the medium under it. We call that buoyancy, right? Do you know why Isaac Newton is famous for his gravity experiment? Because we've always understood that we always understood that mass fell. But there was one question we could never answer. Whether the earth is flat or round, the one question humanity can never answer is, why doesn't the sun and the moon fall to the earth? If gravity is universal and I look up into the sky every day and I see all these celestial objects, why don't they fall to earth? If an apple falls out of a tree, why doesn't the sky fall? Those questions, elegantly answered by Isaac Newton, is the reason why we know that gravity behaves the way that he described it. Doesn't matter if the earth is flat or round, the question still remains, why doesn't the moon and the sun fall to the surface of the earth? Once you answer that question, you get gravity, right? Before I answer that question, because I want you to watch the entire video, I'm going to explain gravity to you. North, south, south, north. Opposites attract and like charges repel, right? So these two sides are going to move away from each other, right? Opposites attract. So these two signs are going to move toward each other, right? This is electromagnetism. I have magnets. I'm not going to be able to find them, so I'm not going to worry about it. All you need to know is that there's a magnet in this eraser, there's a magnet in this board, or there is a iron. What is it? I forget the term, but you know the term. The term for magnetism. There's a magnet in this, or there's something magnetic. Either there's a magnet in this board, or there's something magnetic in this board. These two will attract to each other. Bam. The signs are opposite, so they attract. Okay. What does that have to do with anything? Coulomb's law states that, how does it go? Coulomb's law states that the attractive force between two opposite opposing magnetic polarities is inversely proportionate to the distance between them. Newton's law for gravitation states that the attraction between two bodies of mass operates as if they have from a common center and is inversely proportionate to the distance between them. This is why objects accelerate as they travel toward each other, right? An object's mass is found as if it is in a common center. However, the force of gravity is not found in the center of a mass. So the Earth and the Moon have mass. their mass operates as if it's in a common center. However, their gravitation is found here, right dab in the center of the law that was you can't see that. Right dab in the center of the law described by Newton. As these two objects move toward each other, the location of gravity will change with relation to their location between each other. And the way that you can easily understand this, where's my eraser? Oh, here it is. And the easiest way to understand this is with this. Let's go outside, hang out with a teeter-totter or a seesaw. The seesaw literally describes gravitation, because if you change the mass of the objects, you have to adjust the location of the fulcrum underneath the force of gravitation. Does that make sense? When you change the location of the fulcrum of a seesaw based on the weight of the actual masses, you're literally moving the actual fulcrum to the location of gravity. So as these things change and they become imbalanced, when you shift this, you're literally showing visually where the force of gravity is between these two based on Newtonian physics. And this is the most basic way to understand gravity. Most people won't even get it, but one day you will. If you watch this video enough times and you think critically on this enough, you will get it, especially when I explain the thing that made Newton so famous. The thing that made him so famous was that whether the earth is flat or the earth is round, the moon and the sun does not fall to the earth, right? The sun's up there. Because it's really far away. Why? Why is that? The famous Apple experiment revealed something to Newton that science never really actually captures. The thing that Newton learned when the apple fell from the tree was that all mass is supported by a foundational structure, and that the apple falls from the tree when this breaks, because all mass is attracted to the earth. So obviously the moon, logically, like everything else in the universe, is falling to the earth, right? It's falling to the earth. So if the moon is falling to the earth, is it so far away that it just hasn't hit the earth yet? Or is it falling infinitely around the earth? It's falling around the earth. We call that orbit. And that's what made Newton famous. Because he realized that when you look up in the sky at the moon, the path that it makes in the sky is the actual path that it's of it falling around the earth. It's the earth. That's the reason why Earth is round, because the moon is falling around the earth. You take basic geometry, you know that if a line travels in infinity, if two lines travel into infinity and they never intersect, they are described as being infinite. I'm sorry. If two infinite lines are traveling to infinity and they never intersect, they are described as being parallel to each other, right? If the moon has been in the sky, moving around the earth for an extended period of time, and it has never intersected the earth, and the path that it follows is constant in relation to the earth, then it is defined as being parallel to the earth. It's a geosynchronous orbit. The path the moon makes around the earth is exactly parallel to its location and orientation to the earth. Therefore, the path that it takes is parallel to the earth. Because of that, the moon falling to the earth will never intersect the round earth, because it is orbiting the earth. Now, if we move to this model, all objects fall. So if the earth and the sun If the sun and the moon are within the gravitational pull of the Earth, then they must fall. Because if you want to say that all observations that we see and perceive on the Earth have to be compatible with behavior of reality, then you need to understand that when you look up at the moon and you see it in the sky, it is under the same gravitational force as the rest of the Earth. And if you don't want to understand that, you are engaged in mental masturbation. The reason why the moon and the sun are described as being so far away is because that is the only way that their behavior operates correctly. Gravitation is such a powerful thing, and the numbers are so accurate that we literally found one of our planets, I believe it was Neptune. We found Neptune in the night sky by simply using the gravitational force that Newtonian physics outlines. And if that's not enough evidence, you know how big space is? Space is pretty big. Some guy said, based on these numbers, based on my calculations, if you look at the sky at this time, on this day, at this location, you will find this body. And it should be approximately this size, and it will have this mass. That's how powerful this idea, the thing that you say don't really exist and isn't really real, that's how powerful it is. Because that's how they found it. And even if they didn't find it that way, even if they looked up in the sky and said, hey, there's a planet there, let's lie to society and say that gravity exists and that we're going to fake it and then we're going to tell them that this body is here based on these things, it's still there. It's still physically there. There's still an object right there in the sky that I can use math to find and pinpoint every day for the rest of my life based on the laws that they outline. Based on the rulers and the numbers they give me, if I follow their orders and follow their directions and use the math, I can go outside right now and find any celestial body anywhere in this night sky every day, consistently. I know exactly on what day and what time the moon will be in third quarter moon. I know, because science has already outlined it. And you can't argue with that. I mean, you can argue, you can always argue, but you can't deny the most fundamental proofs of it. You can't say that science is bad and then use science to prove that science is bad. You know. As always, my name is Paul Emerson and that is my 2 cents. I'm sorry, my name is Paul Emerson and I have just given you my 2 cents.